Hello guys, today I'm gonna talk to you about the best comp right now in TFT, which I believe is Skirmishers 6 Jax. Woohoo, what a surprise. We all know it's really strong, but I think this game is like a perfect example of why it is so broken right now. If you have these items on Jax, you're guaranteed top 4. So today I'm gonna talk to you about what is the comp, why is it so strong right now, and you'll have one of the great games that I had with Jax right now in this game right in front of your eyes. We managed to get a pretty decent score, so not gonna spoil anything, but if you enjoy TFT content, make sure to subscribe to this channel because we do a whole bunch of it. Now let's get into the meat of this video. Jax is your carry, obviously. There's one thing you need to understand is that I don't think Skirmishers is like good enough to force every game if you don't have the items for. Jax without BT is really not as strong as he is. You really need BT to make it work. Then you can go either rune-ons, shadow rune-ons, and then you want to go for like QSS or shadow QSS. I think regular QSS is actually like the better of the two because you don't lose the max HP for the BT shield. So you have to keep that in mind, but either way they both work. So those are the 3 items you want on Jax, but it's not the only thing you need. Right now in this lobby I managed to get the Force of Nature, so we got kind of lucky on this side, but Jax is doing like massive amount of damage, but you need frontline. Like he needs to not be basically killed before he can ramp up, right? So what you're gonna do in most cases is you're gonna have a Mordekaiser that will actually be a quote-unquote tank and or secondary carry. He is so strong that you can slam defensive items like Warmog, or he can even use another QSS, but like that is a lot of cloak, so you won't hit that usually. You can put a gunblade on him, you can put a jewel gauntlet on him. Sometimes in the early game you're going to make a jewel gauntlet because you think you're going to go this way but you're going to pivot, so Mordekaiser is a great unit to hold that. Then you can build some redemption in your team, you can build some gargoyles on the front line. There's a lot of things you can do for the front line. Obviously you try to hit Frozen Heart on either Viego or Diana. Those two, I mean, it's no surprise, it's been strong ever since the start of the set. It's still strong to have an assassin with Frozen Heart. Even with the Frozen Heart nerfs in patch 11.10, they are still absolutely decent, you know. You do need those in a lot of cases. Now you can see the Viego actually like doing a whole lot of nothing, but that is fine, right? Our Jax actually like mega high rolled and jump on the Kale like for no reason, which is pretty decent. The shadow rune-ons here actually helps a lot to do more DPS and basically lifesteal more, so your Jax will become unkillable. One thing to remember is to be quite flexible. There's a bunch of versions of the comp. You can go either for Dragon Slayer, you can go with some Mystics even, you can go with some Ironclad 2 or 3. You need to keep your options open when you get into that late game. Don't go into like TFT cheat sheets or website and only copy like the 8 champions they have. You definitely need, in TFT in general, this comp is not an exception, to be flexible depending on the lobby. If you have like AP heavy lobby, you can go with a Mystic. Honestly, Jax kind of does well against AP anyways because he has triple cloak already on him, so he's pretty tanky. If he doesn't like eat the full Vel'Koz ult from the start, you should be fine. Usually he's going to be strong enough to be able to like withstand that or lifesteal, but in some cases definitely think about going Mystic. If you're the only one playing Skirmisher and there's like 2 Vel'Koz and like a Karma or another AP like LeBlanc or anything, then definitely consider doing that. Now, for the early game, what do you want? You basically want to have Udyr as the one that's gonna like hold the Jax items. But there's actually like many ways you can pivot into this comp, right? You could go Yasuo carry in the meantime, that's doable. You can do a Legionnaire start with Kalista, go Kalista and Aatrox, and then you can try to pivot into that later. Obviously, if you try to force skirms early without actually having decent items or decent champions, you're gonna lose a lot and a lot of HP, and that is a problem that I see regularly in my lobbies, is people deciding I'm gonna go Jax from the get-go. That is not how you play TFT, guys. Usually it helps to like one trick comps. You can climb the ladders with it, but I really don't recommend that. So usually early you're gonna go good front line, good back line regardless. Maybe you can put a bit more emphasis on trying to grab those skirmishers, trying to grab Nautilus, which is good with another knight front line, because eventually you will get the ironclad with the Jax. But there's a lot of options. Like right now I'm actually removing the ironclad 3 because it's not useful, right? There's a LeBlanc player and there's a Vel'Koz player right there. So I'd much rather have the Dragon Slayer 4 than just have like more armor, which is basically like quote unquote irrelevant in this matchup. So you can see like here is just a perfect example also of where you need to position your Viegos. Viego does like a lot of work. I think it's like one of the unsung hero of like the whole set. And nobody talks about how broken that unit is. I really think he's like a secondary carry in a lot of cases. So your positioning with Viego is primordial. Right now you can see that we unfortunately lost this round. Even if Viego did some work, it was not enough. So now what do? You're in the late game, you have basically this board state, you want to level up the units that you have, and you have a choice. Do you go 9 or do you stay level 8? In this case, I decided to stay level 8 because I did not think I had enough gold and enough HP to force going into 9. And adding another unit right now is just not that valuable. You really want to try to hit Jax 3 if you can. Jax 3 is an absolute monster. Like any basically 4-cost carry that you can have like a 3-star. It's just always really, really good. Unfortunately here the Vel'Koz just shredded us because we didn't have any Mystic, which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. You play what you're given. Probably in this game I should have went a bit harder and try to find some Mystics. Maybe try to swap out the Rel and just forego completely Ironclad and try to get some Mystics in there. Maybe it would have helped. Anyhow, Jax is so strong right now. Everything else has been nerfed around it with the patch 11.10, right? We've seen nerfs to a lot of like the top tier metas. Everything that was actually like very strong early, like Vayne 2 for example, Helion's reroll, Lissandra reroll, Leona reroll, all of those like actually used to put a lot of pressure on your early game. But right now there's not that many, and they buffed a lot of skirmishers. So it was kind of obvious, even if they did not touch Jax, as far as I remember, right? They did not touch Jax. When you buff everything around the comp, obviously that's going to buff the comp themselves. Now, here is a great example of TFT of just hit, guys. We've hit a Dragon Claw against like an AP team. That felt really good. That's gonna make my Mordekaiser like basically unkillable against his team. And what did we say earlier? Mordekaiser is kind of like your meat shield, but also your secondary carry. In this game, he was more of a tank, more of a front line. But I remember just today I had a Draven game where my Mordekaiser actually had like Warmog and Jewel Gauntlet, and that is usually enough for him to do a lot of work. Which brings me to my next point. What if you try to force Jax, but you have to pivot out because there's like 3 to 4 Jax players in your lobbies? Not gonna lie, around like high platinum right now, there's a lot of Jax players, so you need to be flexible. The good thing is BT and Rune-Ons, or like BT and a bow item, actually work kind of well onto Draven. So if you do the items like early because you want a win streak or whatnot, keep in mind that you can always pivot into Draven, right? This is your out if there's like a lot of Jax forcers, because that's bound to happen, right? The top tier meta, the top tier comp will always be contested, so you have to keep in mind that you can always pivot into Draven, because a lot of the time he's going to use those items quite well. That's why I also suggest slamming tank items before making the Jax base items. Usually that might be better, because Jax is quite unflexible in terms of items, but he comes super late, and you do not want to hit like 70 HP just because, I don't know, you thought you wanted to go Jax, but then you waste all of your HP, and you see in your lobby there's like 3 other Jax players, and then you just lose, and it feels super bad. You need to be consistent, right guys? So the Jax comp right now, it's absolutely monstrous. It's absolutely disgusting. It is so good. I have no doubt that Jax is going to get nerfed for sure. Like, he's too strong right now. Is it the comp? Is it everything around him that makes him that broken? I don't know, but the unit definitely needs to be toned down right now. He's super strong. He's the best comp, and you need to at least have this in your toolkit, right? TFT, I think, is a game of toolkits. The more comps you know and you're able to pull off, the more toolkits you have, the more tools, sorry, you have in your toolbox. And then whenever you're gonna get a game that you have like 1 or 2 cloak start, then you need to think about Jax. You need to have this comp into like your arsenal, right? As much as you need to have also like the Vel'Koz comp. It's just like completely disgusting. So this was my game to reach Platinum 1. Absolutely demolished them. We got first place. It feels good. We're almost diamond. Subscribe for more TFT content, and I will see you next time.